Hey! Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. I am joined once again by my good friend, fellow YouTuber, and Twitch streamer, Janzer. How are you doing today, my friend?
Apparently, I'm doing very subdued. I'm very subdued. I don't know. My energy is a little bit low. It's getting towards the end of the week. I don't know what it is. But on the other hand, I am apparently talking extremely fast, so I guess I'm okay.
I guess so. Well, that happened quick. Well, today I brought Janzer here with me today to talk to you guys about some big news concerning a very important game to me, and a game that's become very important to him. A game that I think it's really affected the game industry and the community in such a way where even if you don't like it, you know about it, and you're probably thinking about it. And that's the brand new first-person shooter franchise developed by the original creators of Call of Duty that are now working for EA. Of course, you read the damn title of the video. It's Titanfall. We're talking about Titanfall. We're talking about the original Titanfall and the upcoming Titanfall 2 and some of the new information that's been released about it, most significantly, the single-player campaign. Now, Janzer, you've been playing a lot of Titanfall as of late. You didn't get into it when it first came out, but you've slowly but surely, is it safe to say that you've gotten a bit of addiction to it?
I think that, no, I don't have an addiction to it, but I can say that it's like a refuge for me. I go there in times of need, in times of solace, to play the game that feels great. And let me tell you, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe I broke the 100-hour mark the other day. I have to check.
Fantastic.
I was at 96 the last time I checked. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Glad to hear.
Indeed.
So, I have to ask, Janzer, you've played a lot of first-person shooters. You've played a lot of big titles, old titles, and you've played a lot of games that had both multiplayer and single-player. And Titanfall, even though, personally, guys, you guys know, Titanfall is one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. I adore the game. I will never not play the game. I will look for any excuse to play the game. But it doesn't have a single player. Besides training, literally the training mode is the only form of single player in the game. There's no single player campaign. There's no offline mode with bots, which I will get to later. But Janzer, as someone who has played a variety of first-person shooters with and without single-player campaigns, what do you think about Titanfall not having a single-player campaign as compared to other games?
Honestly, it didn't bother me, and I know that seems kind of odd, but I was thinking about this, and I'm looking at Elder Scroll Skyrim, and I only put 86 hours in that, just to let you all know. 86 hours, that's all. I don't know, it just didn't bother me at all. I know a lot of people were very interested in the single-player campaign, and they kind of, to me, they put so much on it that it seemed not genuine to me. You know, like when people, it seemed a little bit hyperbolic, like, oh, if it only had a single player, it would have saved everything. No, that's not true, because Counter-Strike doesn't have a single player mode, and everybody still plays that goddamn game. So yeah, it didn't really bother me, and to not have one in the next version really wouldn't have bothered me either, because what the things that I like about Titanfall, which we'll probably get into, are not the story or the lore. So basically for me, maybe I just have a really low threshold for for story, but at the same time I'm also playing Wolfenstein, The New Order. I have to say it like Wolfenstein. And it's a wonderful game. I love the game. Once again, thanks for that gift, Mr.
No problem,
Tron.
man. No problem.
Yeah, but what about you? I think that I have an idea of what your thoughts are on a single-player mode.
Well, quite honestly,
The campaign. I'm
yes,
sorry, I said single-player mode. There's a
No,
difference.
I understand exactly what you're talking about, man. Like, I can understand the need and a want from a single-player campaign in Titanfall. I can get that because it was being made by the creators of the original Call of Duties, and the original Call of Duties had fairly solid, popular, memorable campaigns from what I understand. I don't know. I've only played the Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and Advanced Warfare campaigns. I have not played the World at War, any of the old World War II Call of Duties, And all
Whereas
those oh yes,
I
you
played the
did.
originals.
That's
Oh
right,
yeah.
you did. You
So
did.
this is kind of funny that the same developer that played the game, the Call of Duty versions that I played, is also the one that made Titanfall. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No,
Go
you
ahead,
didn't
please.
interrupt it, man. You make a good point. You make a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I still have the disc around here somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh man, discs. Oh my god, it's been so long
I
since I
know,
used
I
discs
know.
since everything's digital. But that's that's a
Uh-huh.
topic for another time. But when it comes to Titanfall and it not having the typical story single player campaign as found in the Call of Duty games, I can understand the expectation because it's the same developer. However, I can understand the expectation. I can't understand necessarily the disappointment because it's not Call of Duty. It's not your typical first-person shooter. This is a new franchise, a new IP, and it wanted to make itself based on its multiplayer, and and quite frankly, it had a good reason to go solely multiplayer because, well, the stats show. I know people hate when I bring this up and they say, "Oh, that's not true. That's not true." It's true. There are logistics, there are statistics, there is proof that people play more multiplayer games than single player games and play them longer. It's just the way gamers are nowadays, and I understand the old school gamers that expect a campaign with their multiplayer, that play the original Battlefields and Call of Duties and all these other shooter games that had multiplayer and single-player campaigns. I can understand the expectation when it's from this highly, I guess, respected and renowned developer. But this is not an old school shooter. This is a new franchise, a new IP, and it was going in a direction that, quite frankly, made sense for the most part. They did screw up in one aspect, which I'll get to now and get this over with quickly. Bots. Yes, I know there's bots, there's the little minions, there's the grunts, inspectors, and auto titans, but no, I'm talking about full-fledged matches with players being replaced by bots. You know exactly what I'm saying here, eh, Janzer? Like,
absolutely.
you've played, like, games like Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament, a game that is fucking years older than Titanfall, and has fully functional multiplayer bots. People, even if there are people
Quake Arena.
Yeah. Quake Arena as well. Like, even though those games are super old and not nearly as many people play them, and the official servers are, like, down, I think. You need to go to unofficial servers and go through all this crazy nonsense. I could be mistaken, but multiplayer games that don't have functional multiplayers anymore, like no one's playing them or the server's down, if you have bots, those modes, that content, can still be accessed and played via bots. I have no fucking clue why Titanfall didn't have an offline mode with bots. It just baffles me to this day, because Respawn are perfectly capable of programming AI. How do I know this? Because of the minions! Because of the Spectres, Grunts, and Auto Titans! They can obviously program AI! So, why they couldn't make an offline mode with bots, it just baffles me. To this day, it baffles me. I mean, for God's sakes, the guys who made Left 4 Dead, and made Evolve, Turtle Rock, they made Evolve, and Evolve does exactly what I wanted Titanfall to do.
Right.
Having a solo mode with bots. It's all the multiplayer content, but the players are replaced with bots, and I don't know why Titanfall doesn't have that. That pisses me off more than a single player campaign ever could. Man, jeez.
Yeah,
However,
no, I agree.
However, I still love Titanfall, and we'll get into why we love the game later on, but moving on to its aforementioned sequel, Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2, and the hype train is already building for this game, especially with the announcement, and this has been confirmed, guys. It actually has been confirmed now. Before, it was just speculation based on something that someone said, but now it's pretty much been confirmed that Titanfall 2 will have a single-player campaign. They gave in... Respawn is giving in to the overwhelming criticism of not having a single-player campaign, and they're making a single-player campaign for Titanfall 2, as well as bringing Titanfall to the PlayStation. It's no longer Xbox PC only. Will be coming to the PlayStation. So, PlayStation people who didn't get to play Titanfall, you will sometime by the end of this year or next year. Isn't that exciting? But, Janzer, I wanted to ask you, Titanfall 2 is now getting a single-player campaign. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've kind of thought a little bit about that as well. What I would be looking for in a single-player campaign is I think what most people would be looking for, which is First off, an offline mode that you don't have to worry about being competitive in any kind of way. You're just playing the game, you're enjoying the environment, well, at least I do a lot of the time. That's why I tend to take a lot more time playing games than I always hear. I always hear people say, "Oh, I beat this in 20 hours." I'm like, "Great, it took me 60." But the ability to enjoy the single player mode, one of the biggest things for me clearly is lore. The history, the setting of the universe. I want to find out and it gets the player a little bit more invested in the game itself. When you have an idea of what is this really all about, other than just shooting pew pews at people. Not that I don't like pew pews, but and the setting is cool and robots are cool, but adding that little bit of extra spice is actually quite a lot of spice, as a lot of Warframe players could tell you as well. They cried for lore for so long, and when they get lore, they love it. So, by the way, I just kind of looked at my Borderlands 2 time played, and that's 320 hours. So consider I played 320 hours, but that over time, I put 100 hours in Titanfall within a couple of months.
That says something.
A whole lot of Borderlands 2 YouTube stuff. Warframe is like 2,200 hours. That's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah. So for me, I would be looking at history, setting of the universe. I want to know, what are the dragon bird things for? What are they doing in the forest?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you're on these different planets. What are we doing on the different planets? I know we're mining stuff, or we're going and we're securing locations and whatnot. But it would be nice to hear a little bit of, that's actually an interesting point. What is your favorite game? I know what your favorite game is, but what is your favorite game again?
Divinity Dragon Commander.
Exactly. So thinking about the factions there, it would be kind of interesting to hear the politics behind the factions. And I know sometimes people don't like that, but I think it would be interesting to hear that, because clearly there's a battle going on.
Oh no, people do care about that. I mean, look at
because
Star
you know
Wars.
why?
Look at Star Wars and Star Trek. People obsess over the different factions and politics.
They love drama. As much as they say they hate it, they love it. So we want to see that. And I'd get a little more invested as well if I had that opportunity. But yeah, that's what I would be looking for in a single-player, story-driven campaign. Yeah.
I hear you, man. I hear you entirely. I get the store. No, story. What the hell? Yeah, go to the store, buy Titanfall 2. What the hell was I thinking? But yeah, I can understand the need for lore and story in the single-player campaign of Titanfall 2. I can understand that. I can understand people want to get invested in the world. I get that, but Titanfall has never been a game for me about story. I always thought it had an interesting premise, absolutely. It's basically going back to the original war with the Americans versus the Brits and the founding of America, the freedom of America. It's basically that, but way in the future, with the IMC and the militia. The militia have colonized these planets that were originally taken over by IMC, but they made their own colonies and want to be individual people. It's basically taking the original war between the Americans and the Brits and bringing it into space with new factions and technology and all that. And I think it's a really cool thing. The colonial wars redone in space. That's a really cool setting, but that's never been what Titanfall is to me. Titanfall has always been this awesome pilot to mech combat fantasy game. It's always been about the action and the gameplay, and what I would personally like to see from a Titanfall 2 single-player campaign is just a focus on what made the multiplayer so great. The almost open-world-esque maps, the ability to go from pilot to Titan at any time. One thing I would absolutely despise is if the single-player campaign in Titanfall 2 restricted whether you could be as a Titan or a pilot. Like, you had to be one or the other at certain points during a mission. I would hate that. Because what made Titanfall so great was being able to switch to the two dynamically, versatily. There was such a versatility to that. The dynamic switching between the two playstyles instantaneously at any time for whatever situation. And if Titan, I don't want a scripted campaign. I don't want a Call of Duty-esque campaign where everything is scripted and you're always going in a linear line. I want the open world environment, and I want to be able to choose how I want to engage my enemies in combat, whether it be a pilot or Titan. I want choice, is basically what I'm saying. I don't want a linear story game. I want the multiplayer, but as single player.
So
with
if I
the
could
story.
provide an example, and I just kind of brought this up, so that's probably why it comes to mind, but kind of like a Borderlands 2 environment.
Yes.
Borderlands 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A Borderlands-esque sort of, where it's about the gameplay. It's all about the gameplay and the story, and you can take the story at your own pace. You can almost ignore the story if you want to. Like, I don't think, like, people were complaining about Titanfall 1 with the campaign mode, like, you can't listen into the story because it's in the background and the radio drama always on the side of the screen. That was what Borderlands was, and people love the story of Borderlands. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Titanfall. The problem with Titanfall, it's multiplayer. And if you try to experience... and if you try to actually sit back and listen to the story and listen to what the characters are saying and the conversations they have whenever, you're getting killed by other players that are running around. So it's hard to experience the story when there's other players interrupting it that don't give a damn. So I think the whole radio drama thing that they did within the corner, the same thing that Borderlands did, can work. Just do it without the other players. Like, if Titanfall's original campaign mode was the single-player campaign mode, like, it was just that, replace the players with bots, I don't think as many people would have complained. I'm sure some people would have complained, but I don't think as many people have complained, because if you've played the campaign mode of Titanfall, it did have those epic set-piece moments, but you weren't tied to them. You weren't restricted by them, like in other single-player campaigns, like in Call of Duty, where when a spectacle is happening on screen, you lose control.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Yeah, so quite frankly, that's what I'd like to see from a Titanfall 2 single-player campaign. I want it to be like the multiplayer, but I just don't want other players to get in the way of the story. Like, I want to have that story there, but I always want the gameplay to be the focus.
So all they have to do is read our minds, and they'll get us exactly what we need. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. You read my mind.
I want history and setting and drama between factions, and I want to know what the bird thingies are, dragons, and you want the mechanics and the gameplay of the multiplayer to not be lost in single-player mode, and to not be restricted into very linear, cinematic type of mode.
Exactly that. And I'm sure Respawn can deliver, but I'm also kind of sort of afraid that they'll just make a Call of Duty campaign. Like, I'm really afraid. I'm really worried that people's demand for a single-player campaign will get lost in translation, and the magic of what made Titanfall such a great game may be lost. But I'm still optimistic. I'm optimistic, but there's always that fear in the back of the mind that I need to address. I need to put it out there. Like, it's Titanfall. I love Titanfall. I'm going to get Titanfall 2, guys. Just so you know, no matter what happens, I'm going to get Titanfall 2.
I'm invested already.
Exactly.
I'm already sold. But the thing is, I was already sold on the first one. I just wasn't sold on the price cost. Now that they've shown me the product that they can create, I'm absolutely going to buy first. You know, I'll probably even pre-order. That's how much I enjoyed the first one.
Exactly. And speaking of the first one and enjoying it, so Janzer, well, let's get into what we like and dislike about the original Titanfall.
Sure.
And afterwards, we can talk about our future expectations besides the single-player campaign for Titanfall 2. So, with the first Titanfall concerning its gameplay and its multiplayer, what is it about it? What specific stuff you really like, stuff you really dislike?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do want to address one little thing that you had said about the single player campaign. Ooh. My hope and my thoughts are, you know, I'm if anybody doesn't know, I do development code work, not for games, which would be kind of fun, but I hear it's also kind of hell. I do different kind of code work, and having that developer perspective about projects and timelines and budgets and resources, and having managed that kind of stuff as well. Like, I've seen it from the developer side to management side as well, and I also do my own work, you know, on the side regardless. So in my mind, if you already have a structured thing such as the multiplayer gameplay, don't fuck with it. We know that, just make some adjustments to it, but it's good, it's solid. So what they should be able to do now is focus on extras, right, for the multiplayer, or making some adjustments to what people didn't like. But the other big focus would be, now they can really focus on the single player campaign and do a nice, you know, rounded out story. but still have that great multiplayer experience over here. That's my hope, is that they'll just add on to it and not change it radically. That's my hope. So
exactly. I get exactly what you're saying. I know people use this as a negative, like when someone says what I'm about to say, they use this statement as like a negative, but make the game, in a sense, copy-paste. Copy-paste the multiplayer from the original game, just add to it. Don't rebuild from the ground up. Copy-paste.
And this leads into the question you asked, which is, what do I really like about the game currently, and what do I do not? What do I not like? Given the fact that I have about 100, probably about 100 hours or so in the game already, I still have not mastered or even become very proficient with certain aspects of the game. What Titanfall does really well is it makes it. I'm not going to say easy, but the ability to get into the game and play and have fun is there. It is an easy entry into the game. You can have fun. Even some people misjudge that as being a shallow gameplay. But in reality, there are other core mechanics of the game, such as the movement, that really require a lot of mastering. I am not proficient with the movement. I am slowly getting better over time, but I'm just not good at it. That's one of the key things that I love about the original right now, is the pilot movement. Even though I'm not good at it, I can see what other what the capabilities are, and they are so amazing.
Have you seen some of the YouTube videos like Titanfall parkour from one side of the map to the other?
And makes me optimistic at the same time, which is a nice little place to be in, because you feel a little torn. At least for me, I like being in that. Oh, and then I'm like, I gotta get good. So I go back and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to practice today. And when I hear myself say that kind of thing, I'm like, fuck, I am invested in this game. So pilot movement, oh my god, to me, having played so many games, I'm not going to talk about years here, but I've played a lot of games. Everyone's played a lot of games, right? But if you really look and feel out the mechanics of the pilot movement, it's fun. It's just damn fun. One of the problems I have with Evolve is the limiting factor of the jetpack fuel. If they would maybe open up a custom game type where you could just have unlimited jetpack fuel, because what I don't like about it is you're going along and then you're down, and there's really not much you can do about it other than wait it out. With Titanfall, your skill determines how fast you can move in that game. You know, if you're really good at, oh my god. So that, to me, putting that control in the player's hands is the best. It's the best, because that's what you want from a competitive type game, is the ability to control something. I absolutely love, and I fall in love every time I get into my Titan. I'm like strapping in, you know? I love the feel of the Titans. They have done what I've talked about I think we talked about in another game, and I was streaming, I was talking about this in Wolfenstein, is the Titan feel. The feel of being in the Titan itself. You don't, remember, this is a video game. We're looking at it on screens. We have got a keyboard and mouse or a controller. We're not actually in the thing. But when the developers create enough of the effects of to mimic that in your brain, to where you feel like you're in this powerful suit, this powerful mech, that is a fucking win. And they do it so well. I feel so powerful.
And it especially helps with the screen and HUD. Have you noticed that when you get into the Titan, you have all those little doodads and gadgets on the side, and when your Titan gets damaged, like the screen fuzzes, and there's even cracks on the screen and stuff like that when you get damaged?
Absolutely. The visuals, the animations, the sound, the lighting, all of that, if done well, if done right and done on point, that will contribute to what makes, it tricks your mind into thinking, oh, this is real. I feel this right now. I feel this AK-47. No, you don't. But but they've got the right punch to the sound, enough bass, enough mid, enough high level, all of that matters. And that actually, let me talk about the positive still. So the movement, the Titans themselves, I do enjoy the weapons. I enjoy some weapons more than others. I really appreciate that there's a very nice, solid shotgun in this game.
Oh, yeah.
A very nice, solid shotgun.
The EVA 8. Oh, baby.
Yes. To the point where people even start complaining just a little that it's a little OP. But that's where you want a good weapon to be, because that means that in the hands of a skilled player, it can be devastating.
I know. The weirdest complaint I've heard about the EVA 8 is when someone said, "But did you say the EVA 8 was a shotgun?" No, good sir. No. The EVA 8's actually a sniper rifle in disguise.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that too. And but to tell you the truth, because shotguns don't get as much love in a lot of other games, I really appreciate that they've given it a lot of love in this game. Mm-hmm. And I guess one other thing I can mention would be I really enjoy the fact that there is a defensive mission type, which is not a PvP oriented type.
Oh yes, it's basically the entirety of PvP, not PvP, PvE. It's basically the entirety of PvE, Frontier Defense, but it's also the game mode I play the most and I love the most.
Yeah, I agree. It's great because it allows like a bonding session between you and your teammates, and you can, you're all working for one centralized goal, and you don't have to worry about specific other players using certain tactics or certain weaponry that's going to piss you off.
Exactly. It's about your tactics. It's not about worrying about the enemy team's tactics. It's about worrying about your tactics. Okay, There's a nuke titan coming in the side. You guys go take care of the nukes. Oh, there's a huge shit ton of minions over here. I'll go take care of them.
Right. So you don't have to worry about people raging because of other people or, quitting or whatever it is. So it's nice to have that mode to fall back on to play with. I personally really enjoy capture the flag.
Modes. Capture the flag is definitely fun. It's so friggin' exhilarating when you're the one with the flag or you're chasing the person with the flag. Where everybody runs after you. You have freaking titans running after you. You have pilots jumping over buildings going after you with the flag. You're trying to avoid gunfire. You're shooting at the person with the flag. That movement and the addition of the titans makes every game mode unique in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and so I do appreciate that there are a variety of game modes, and it's kind of funny because I have read, that people complained about the lack of game modes. They're there. That's not the reason that they're really complaining. They just haven't, once again, pinpointed what it is that really is the reason. And we can start getting into some of that stuff here. But if you want to talk about your own experience,
people know my experience. People know I love they know I love the goddamn game and I love everything about it. So what is it about the game that peeved you off, you disliked, that you'd like change, sort of deal?
I would definitely look at it more as things that I would like to see adjusted or additional features that I would like, and less so about things that I really hated, because I don't know that I really have any true hate. Even the one weapon in the game that has such high contention, it's still a good weapon, and I hate saying that because I hate the smart pistol, and I also appreciate what it can do. And I understand it takes skill because I've used it, and I know how much skill is needed for it. But at the same time, getting killed by it feels so fucking cheap.
I understand that, man.
You really have to think past, I just got killed by that guy, and then looking at and what the worst is when you look at the people that have the most kills and you look at the weapon they have and their smart pistol user every single fucking time. It's like, how do you not become biased against it? How do you not? I know
it's kind of impossible. Yeah. But to be fair, there's been a lot of smart pistol abuse. As a hardcore and long-time Titanfall player, there's been smart pistol abuse with teams that entirely use the smart pistol or use the smart pistol for the wrong reason. For the wrong reason, the weapon was made to farm minions. It was made to take out groups of specters and grunts. But players kept using it against other players, and while it can be effective, it's not nearly as effective as the carbine or the EVA. Because the thing with the smart pistol is it has very limited range. It almost acts like an auto lock-on shotgun because you have to be right up to the pilot, and if the pilot sees you and sees you with a smart pistol, they're going to be lobbing grenades, satchel charges, shooting every shot they have at you. When I was playing with a smart pistol, it was mostly luck or having to be stealthy and sneak up on the players with a smart pistol. Never a head-on engagement, because the smart pistol was meant for minions. It was meant to farm minions. That's the point of the weapon.
It just happens to be that this game is not one of long-range combat. The maps are actually kind of small, and that's kind of what goes into my future thoughts. What would I like to see for Titanfall 2? What I kind of didn't like about Titanfall 1, even though I'm still playing the fuck out of the game. Definitely, I would love the option. You know what? Keep the smart pistol in. Fine, whatever. But give me an option to, like I used to be able to do in older FPS games, but go to a server, number one, or a private room where I can adjust what the properties are for that. And that would allow me to take out the smart pistol. And I'm sure you would see a shitload of game modes where
without
people were, private rooms. Exactly. Because there's something to say about when you're shooting with a rifle or a pistol or a submachine gun, you have to factor in so many things. You're looking for a lot of things. With the smart pistol, all you have to do is, exactly like you said, turn a corner. The thing locks on for you. You don't have to think about where's the enemy. You don't have to identify where the enemy is. It's doing it for you. So you don't have to be perfectly aimed at them. You've got a pretty decent range. And in this game mode, you are most of the time pretty close to the enemies. They're usually not sniping you from across the map, which is something that used to happen in Tribes and Tribes 2. You would get sniped from the entirely opposite side of the map. It was amazing.
Yet ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous at the same time. So like a customizable map type or private rooms or whatever, something that you could fully customize. I would also love to see, and this is kind of where I would love to merge games sometimes, but to me, I think some of the best maps I've ever seen are the Evolve maps. Can you imagine? Not all the maps in Titanfall need to be that big at all, because that would ruin the fast-paced killing of the game.
Exactly.
But a couple of game modes could have a larger battlefield, and then you can inject more players as well. I think that would be amazing if they did that. More Titans. You've got 3 of them, that's true. They're nice, solid core. But add a few more just to, give us a little bit of variety, or at least give us the ability to change out some parts. Up the ante.
More customization, basically.
Exactly. Well, I've gotten down here the fully customizable game mode where you can fully customize your Titan and pilot. But that's asking for everything at that point, But
well, not really. All these other games are doing it. I
think a lot of games
Call of
are
Duty
losing
jumped
it.
on the. Really? I find more games are getting it because
that's good.
For the longest time, Call of Duty, you couldn't customize your character.
Yeah.
In the recent CODs, you have a whole character creator, select your faces, select your armor, select your colors, all this other crazy stuff. And other games as well. More and more customization is becoming I find a bigger deal. It's becoming almost a staple, really. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Titanfall had customization, more customization of pilots and Titans, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't have it too, because that's not really the focus of the game. But it would be nice if it had it in Titanfall 2, more customization, just to give people more of a reason to play, because that
right.
Honestly,
exactly.
I think we can get into that. The complaints people had with the first Titanfall, there's not enough reason to play, and how that could be taken care of in Titanfall 2, and one way is just adding more customization.
Well, for example, I've mentioned this before to you, and I've talked about to other Titanfall players as well, that the fact that I can't customize my secondary weapon was kind of a big miss in my book. It almost seems like I don't know, it seems really odd that you can customize your primaries, but you can't do it for your secondaries. Why? It was silencers, extended mags, ammo types. Well, I'm one for ammo variants, but I don't really see that all too often in games. In fact, very rarely. I think Borderlands maybe, a bit, but usually that's with modifiers. But that would be nice. I think you get that in Mass Effect, where you can do fire, ice. And that's with powers, of course. But still, I like ammo variants. I do. I'm a fan of ammo variants because they add a little bit in your mind to, dink with.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I can see it happening. I can see it
Mm-hmm.
happening, like having an ammo type that's more effective on pilots, more effective on specters, more effective on titans, sort of deal.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, that's
have a
getting
detriment.
more detail.
But have a detriment. Like if you take this ammo type, it decreases your rate of fire. If you take this ammo type, it adds more recoil.
Well, like you said, an ammo type that's effective on Titans, for example, would be less effective on humans. So that makes,
it would basically make your gun useless against them.
Yeah, or just do minimal damage. Either way, we're getting at the same thing. Is there has to be some kind of balance. The other big thing that you've said and you pushed for, and I always would want to, is the offline bot mode where there's AI for the bots that so you don't have to worry about finding a match and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I still don't have a problem finding matches. Otherwise, I wouldn't be playing pretty much daily. But I can see where there's, sometimes wait times and whatnot. One of my biggest problems now is I can't get into certain match types. I can't capture the flag unless I have an entire crew. But, that is what it is. I can't affect that. And then my last thing that would be just kind of a big wish would be I would like to take something that Warframe did, which is the ability to upload your own logos from your own clans. Because my Buried Hatchet clan, I have done it on my Facebook page. I took a Titanfall shot of a background, and I put my Buried Hatchet on the right shoulder of the Titan, because I have Photoshop. I can do whatever I want, But that would be amazing because they already have logos in the game. And I know it would be a process, but that's another way for them to bring in some monetization. You actually flubbed something earlier and you said store, but that's actually a very good, another very good way to keep people interested is by having some kind of an in-game store with customized, skins or getting the player community involved, kind of like Warframe's doing now, or Team Fortress, of course, has been doing.
Let's be light on the microtransactions, though. Let's be clear. No pay-to-win microtransactions.
Rainbow Six Siege is doing a great job of that, and so you can have in-game currency, external currency, whatever. Variety is the spice of life.
Exactly. Let's just hope we don't have another, let's say, Evolve controversy, because what Evolve did was harmless, but because it released all its skins, it released at least over $100 worth of skins on day one. That freaked everyone out. They should have done what Rainbow Six did and released them over time. And Rainbow Six Siege has microtransactions. Let's not hide from the fact. Let's not hide from the fact it has microtransactions, but they're harmless. And Evolve had harmless microtransactions, but no one raised a stink about Siege because there were most of the skins. There was only a couple skins you had to buy with actual money. The rest you could all earn with renown. Evolve didn't had that, and it released a ton of skins day one, and that pissed people off. And Titanfall and Electronic Arts, Titanfall, Respawn, Electronic Arts should all watch for that. If you do add microtransactions to Titanfall, be damn sure that they're harmless and you don't release them all day one.
Yeah, agreed.
No pay to win shit. I'm completely fine with cosmetics. No pay to win shit.
Yeah. There was one more thing that I kind of skipped over because I had a different section, but there is an issue about team balancing. I've noticed it myself, and I have done some research, as I told you about. It's kind of not really. Well, I was polling around or trolling around. I was just looking for stuff for content, just absorbing different opinions. And I do agree that a lot of people have brought it up. There's, an issue with team balancing. Playing PvP, I've played enough PvP in the game to see some of the downfalls. And that is kind of one of the issues where you'll have one team continually stacked with one or two players that's on the high end, and then the other team has nobody. They're relying on. Sometimes when I become the head of the team because I have more kills, that's a huge problem because I never get a lot of kills for pilots. But that's always a good thing to work on. But that's something like, to me, that's like working on netcode. That's like working, it's
a continuous progress.
Exactly.
There's always going to be something wrong. To be fair, though, when Titanfall first came out, it had horrible team balance. But as the months went on and this really big update came out eventually for the game, they completely reworked team balance, and to be fair, it's much, much better. Like before, when I was playing Titanfall day one, And day one of Titanfall was brutal because the high-level players would at times all get on the same team. Like, I remember one time
I've heard that.
where I was on a team of Gen 1s and Gen 2s, and we were up against an entire team of nothing but Gen 10. An entire team, Gen 10 level 50 players. We didn't stand a chance in hell.
Of course, yeah. On the other hand, if you kill that level, you should get buku points. And they should get no points for killing Gen 1er, in my book, you know? Because the Gen 1ers would be raised up in level, you know, and the Gen 10s, well, they wouldn't be getting much. So even if
they're already max ranked. They have no more levels to gain.
So let's say a Gen 10 became a Gen 1. They'd climb the ranks super fast anyway, so that would help to keep that balance. An idea.
Interesting idea indeed. Indeed.
You know, I just noticed there's another thing here. More Titan weaponry, or ordnance, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, in the game, you fight against, you have launcher types that are shooting from the background.
you have all your different rockets and missile attachments.
Well, it would be kind of, well, I mean, on the enemy side, you've got to go against, you know, rocket launcher guys that are sitting back there. Mortar Titans.
Yes,
mortars. What if we had a mortar? I don't know.
Like an attachable mortar on the back?
What if we had an Arc Titan that we could get into? What if, you know? Yeah, so it's just, they could do a little bit more with the weaponry for the Titans. I do love the feel of them. I think they've gotten down that perfectly and beautifully and wonderfully, but just a little bit more variety. What about a flamethrower for mooks, you know, as I like to call them? Yeah, it's just, you know, something. So they could definitely work more on launcher types, or, I mean, weapon types. But that again goes back to the idea in my mind as a developer. I'm thinking if they're using the same engine, they're using the same, you know, assets and maybe polishing up a bit or whatever, or maybe they're creating new assets. Fine, you got to do that. But you're using the same engine with the same, you know, code. Then keep what you got that works and just add on to it little by little. You know, that's all you got to do. That's all you have to do.
Precisely, that's all we want. God, I'm gotta tell you, man, I'm so afraid they're like going to make the game with a new engine, build everything from scratch. Like, don't do that. You have a solid foundation, just build on top of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh man, but yeah, that's wow. Titanfall. Wow, I have a feeling we could talk about this game for bloody days, but I know all of you watching have other videos you want to watch and other stuff you need to attend to. But thank you so much for sticking by and listening to us talk about a simply awesome first-person shooter that we love. We're all looking forward to Titanfall 2. We love the first Titanfall, and it's a game we will definitely be looking forward to and talking about more so in the future. You can expect a lot of Titanfall content on my channel, and I'm sure on Janzer's. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the first Titanfall and on Titanfall 2 in the comments section below. And Janzer, thank you so much once again for joining me and talking about this wonderful game. Now, if you'd like to sign us off and tell people where they can go find your content.
This is funny. It's been a pleasure. As I think anybody that knows me, that's watched my stuff before, and yourself, Ryan, you know that I'm, you know, you said, I feel like the energy's down. You're more, this is my serious mode. This is important to me. Do you understand? I need my Titanfall. So you can definitely catch all my crazy mode on Twitch. It's just twitch.tv/Janzer247. Or you can go to YouTube, same name, Janzer247. Catch me on Twitter, Janzer247. Or on Facebook, Janzer247. I made it easy for everybody. And thanks for watching, all of y'all. Please tell us what you think about, you know, are you guys interested in the new Titanfall that's coming out? And would you play Titanfall now if it was free?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
What if they went to a free-to-play mode? Interesting.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this, guys. But anyways, this has been a video, and we'll see you guys later.